Hello and welcome. You guys missed that.
Of course. I tried to do it. I tried to do it for a lot of times, but then Anil's face looked so serious. And Leena kept cracking up in the room about how serious Anil was that he's
a serious guy.
But I miss him. Anil, I miss you today. Really.
Yeah, I miss
because
him. Even though he's right outside this door.
Yeah, he's right outside the door. But the last two, 3 times we recorded with Anil, he came dressed up, right, for the Friday podcast because that's how he feels like he's in the zone and he was playing the role. And he was very polite to me.
Always. Are you implying that I have not been polite?
No, I mean, like, he was really polite to me. Like, hello,
understand.
Kavita, thank you.
Yeah.
Loved it.
Not,
Welcome back, Anand.
You have to take me very seriously. I'm a father.
Yes, you have not given us a single moment to forget that. I mean, from the time from the time you went on your paternity leave to the time you have come back.
Yeah. But it's been a fun month. I missed being away, but it's been great.
Yeah. And today we have a full room. We have a room full of people. 7 of us are in one room. And we've got 2 special guests with us today. Abash and Deven. Welcome.
Hi.
Welcome to the pod. It has been described by the New York Times as the greatest podcast on earth. How does it feel? Welcome to the podcast.
Excited to be here.
I'm damn excited. I've been listening to this like every week and I'm like keen in, and now I'm going to hear myself and I go to listen to this. So.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Get ready to hate your own voice.
Hey, no, you like your own voice. Because I think
like.
we modulate our voice here and also because we have these cool mics. And Santosh is going to engineer our voices to sound amazing. Isn't that right?
There is a podcast I listen to called the All In Podcast. And this week they launched the AI version of the All In Podcast where everything is completely AI generated. The script, the voices, they never recorded it. They were somewhere else.
Was it good?
It was not bad. So maybe that's what will happen today.
But you get to hear personal takes, like what happened off the scene, behind the scenes.
What about the emotions?
No, but the
emotions, yeah.
Yes, it very closely reflects how they would react to a certain topic or how they would speak or how they would argue with each other.
How scary.
And they also have
listen to this.
they're a very argumentative bunch. So
actually, a lot of people right now putting this on pause and going to the All In Podcast.
Yeah,
saying,
and they retweeted it. So they have effectively endorsed it. David Sachs has endorsed it. And so has Jason Calacanis. But their dynamic with each other is very confrontational, very argumentative to a point where David Friedberg will say something and Chamath will say, who's feeding you this pile of
beep?
Who is it? Where, you clearly don't know what you're talking about. And they'll go, and that's all there. It's all there.
Why are we beeping on this podcast? Unlike adults listening to us. Maybe not.
Well, I didn't say anything that needs to be beeped. So I can. And I'm sure we have in the past. It's PG 18.
No, it's PG-13. 18 is adult, yeah.
Okay. Fine.
Since you're a father now, I think you need to know all of these things.
I need to learn these. I thought learning Gen Z terms is good enough.
Now you got to have some legacy.
Anyway, so for our listeners, the thing that we are very excited about is Abash and Deven, who are very dear colleagues of ours at Voiro, spent the week at the AdTech 2023 conference in Gurgaon. And I remember when we went for it last year and we came back and the entire month after that, all our podcast episodes are like, in AdTech I saw this, in AdTech I saw that, this guy said this, I want to talk about your experience at AdTech.
I think even I'll start first.
Yep.
Yeah. How was it?
So this was my first.
Okay.
When I gone for an event like that, and as soon as I reached there, I was like, this is enormous. This is crazy.
Overwhelming.
Because they told us that this was the highest attended AdTech ever. And I was like, whoa. That's about, 3,000 people?
They were expecting 2,000, but it was actually 3,000.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I was so overwhelmed because you walk around and so Leela, beautiful. You get in there and you see these booths everywhere. About 59 booths?
Yes.
It was just insane. And people are just on and about. Each booth has about 6-8 people. Everyone's handing out goodies and Deven's like, I want one.
I didn't get one. I didn't get one.
You did.
Yep.
So we spun some wheels and we went twice. Sorry. But yeah, it was really good. I think I really loved it. I want to do more of it. And I think I'm very grateful that I got to attend.
Excellent. So all event organizers, Voiro is going to attend. So
Yeah.
It was so high on energy. It was like, wow. everyone was like, yeah, we made so many meaningful connections in this AdTech community. So much insight, so much knowledge share transfer. We're like talking to, you know what, this is working for us, this is not working for us. How do you guys managing this? And it was so much fun. I'm telling you, it was so much. I'm going to attend next time.
Oh, of course.
Please, I'm going to attend that.
You must. I love conferences. And every single one that Kavita and I or Anil and Jimmy have attended, we've ended up, it's always the same pattern. We'll have a slow start. We'll enter and then we'll kind of chat
Hide
with each other.
behind
for
the
some time.
cactus.
My first 2 networking conversations will be with somebody from our team, because I'll be like, "Oh, let's get a coffee, let's do something." And slowly you warm up, and then you start to really like it. You get comfortable with, just walking up to someone, talking to them, making connections.
One thing I did notice there, right? People keep telling me that, hey, listen, this AdTech industry is very small actually, and people just know everyone and everyone. And I got to witness that firsthand, because as soon as I walked in, yes, it's my first AdTech. I probably don't know as much as enough people. And I just saw people just mingling. They are all representing all these other companies, and they're like talking to each other, like
Everyone knows everyone.
Yeah.
Long lost friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like long lost friends.
I was
And I was feeling a lot of FOMO, and then suddenly I'm Deven, where are our peeps? Like, where are the guys that we interact with? And as soon as we did, then we just found ourselves that, oh, it's been 2 hours.
Yeah.
Time just flies.
Time just flies.
It's crazy. And Deven was so excited.
Yeah,
He
and
got
that's
to
the
meet
thing
us.
about 2-day conferences.
You got to meet all your long lost those.
Yeah.
Yes, all my old friends, everyone was
Nice.
there.
Nice.
We're just interacting.
Fantastic. All right. So what we're going to do is break it down into the sessions that you guys enjoyed the most, and you'll have given me 5 of them. So we'll go through them one by one. But before we do that, Deven, what is your overall takeaway from AdTech this year?
I think my overall takeaway from this year is we have been talking about CTV for a long time. We're talking about measurement. We're talking about omni-channel and all. And I can actually see that happening. I can actually see that tech is becoming more mature. Audiences are moving towards that. Marketers are moving there. Advertisers are changing their strategies. When I went there, I saw that actually people are doing it. People are experimenting things. And I think this all is becoming real. And like 2019, when someone told me about CTV, I was like, hey, this will not happen till 2025 or 2028. But I can literally see that's currently happening. I think someone from Hotstar mentioned saying that the entire CTV inventory does get sold like this. They don't have a CTV. They don't have a CTV inventory. So I think it's all real.
If you think about it, we went through a similar journey internally. I remember 2018, Kavita was like, guys, this is the next big thing. Connected TV, the biggest screen in the house. You sit back, the experience is going to change. And she hit up some non-believers. They were like,
Oh my God.
Yeah, she
This
did.
office
She
and
did.
CTV, they were like non-believers by the dozen. Everybody's like, please, it's just like a glorified
Yeah.
TV.
Today, everybody in our office is bullish on CTV.
Yeah, we have some stats on CTV, and we were blown. I think when we get to the CTV context of it, we should discuss those.
Before we do that, what is your overall takeaway, Abash?
I think I was overwhelmed, because I've realized that you got to be on your feet in this.
Conferences are tiring.
No, what I meant by on your feet is that this industry and the way we are running, I know that I got to keep up. And attending this conference, I just got to know that, hey, I knew X, Y, oh, there's the Z part. Oh, wait, there's A, B, C, D there. I know that I've gotten great insights from it. I know that this is where we got to go. And I know that coming back and putting it in context in Voiro, I know that I need to get back down and be like, hey, let's just get together. This is what the industry is going. We are not here. We need to get there, because this is where the industry is going. And I think attending these conferences is what made me realize that you got to go.
You got to be out there.
You got to be out there. And something like that, and looking at how AdTech and how they're talking about these things, and how they're so much, no one wants to talk about the background stuff. How is the advertiser going to be good and be happy?
Yeah.
And I've just realized that everyone needs to start talking about the advertiser, how it's going to impact them, and just all the other stuff in the background is just, you got to do it to make sure that at the end, your advertiser is happy. That was my key takeaway from the entire experience.
And it's funny you take that, you have that takeaway, because I know that your background, you've been on the agency side as well. So you've probably interacted with buyers far more than anyone else on the supply side. So
You had something on your mind.
Yes, I think one point that you mentioned, right, the measurement and all those things. So one key takeaway was when the people are now moving towards a point where CTRs and VTRs are okay, but they are trying to get to know what is the business impact based on that. Like, are my sales increasing? I'm getting good CTRs if my sales, but even though if my sales are not increasing, there's a problem. Now, what they're trying to do here is they're trying to take business outcomes from your advertising campaign. They want that business outcomes. They said they don't care about which platform I'm advertising. All I care about is my audience. How, if I'm getting a right audience, if I'm in a shitty platform, okay. I'm okay with that. As long as I'm getting audience and it is impacting my business goals. It has to connect with my business goals. It's no longer CTRs are good, VTRs are good, yeah, done.
Metrics for the sake of metrics.
Metrics is a fake format. So now everyone is trying to move towards business goals. Are these things achieving my business goals? So I think that is a key takeaway.
It's very interesting that we've talked about ad spend becoming more performant. We've talked about advertisers going to seek in a recessive environment a lot more bang for buck. But for you to go to a conference and feel it, I think is extra special.
I don't even notice the entire theme from the day they started, like from day one, as soon as they started, and everyone's like, yeah, this theme is efficiency. Because we're in that economic space right now. We really need to be conscious of the kind of money that we're putting. Advertisers are very conscious of the kind of money they're putting in on their table for ad spends. And everyone was about conscious, which means that if I'm going to be spending XYZ amount of money, I need to make sure that it's deriving results, like how Deven put it. And to see the entire industry just getting on the back of it and trying to find tech that will do just that. Very fascinating. And I think it's changing the way I think companies are emerging with solutions as well. It's crazy.
Fantastic. Okay, so you've given me 5 things that you guys were very excited about. So topic number 1 is connected TV, right? I know you gave us a little bit of a flavor, Devin, but tell us everything about connected TV that blew your mind.
I think connected TV, when you talk about connected TV, like I earlier mentioned, it's growing. Yeah. It's growing in India. It's growing everywhere globally. So I think Prabhvir from Samsung mentioned this, that streaming is driving the entire CTV space. It's not the linear TV. And one more interesting fact that we're talking to Shrish Goel from Hotstar, okay, and he mentioned a very interesting thing, that people have not figured out where exactly to place CTV. Is it an extension of linear TV, or it will be at the digital side? If it is at the linear, it has an advantage of that you don't have to care about measurements, but you'll get, I don't have to care about the measurements, you'll get higher CPM.
I think measurements would be difficult.
Measurements will be difficult. Yeah, it's not about caring, it's only
What's
difficult.
your take? Which
Which
direction is it coming from?
I think it should be digital, because people are moving towards measurement. People want to know their business impact. If you don't give them a measurement, then it's just a waste of money. I don't know whether my campaigns are driving the results. So, if you go to digital, there's only one disadvantage: your CPMs will be low. But you'll get good measurements. You'll know exactly what is working, what is not working. So that was a interesting take.
Eye-opener.
Yep. Where do we move on?
I think one very interesting thing that he mentioned in the CTV space, that he said that 73% of the Samsung user base are using the native smart OS, the respective smart TV's default OS. To me, that was like, okay, so if players like InMobi's Glance and Cloud TV and all these guys, those are building these OS that will patch wall. All of these guys are sitting on top, which means that now if CTV is growing, how do they place themselves? Because 73% is a huge chunk, right?
70% of what?
So 73% of the overall owners of the Samsung smart TVs, they prefer the default OS system.
Ah, okay.
Which means that for Samsung, it's a great plus point, because all the ads and everything are going to show up in their recommendation engine, in their space of it, which means that they are going to be in a place where searchability of content across apps. I know that's something Anil mentioned that he wants from CTV. Yes. And I could sit there and be like, this is what Anil wanted. He's getting what he's wanting. And it's crazy. And I was like, and he's not the only person who's thinking that. His pain point of, I want to look for content across, I was like, yeah, Samsung is addressing that. They realize that. They're going to do that. And if 70% are doing that, which means that these guys know that if 73% of my, it's going to be 11 million of their...
Basically at 6 million, they are targeting to reach 11 million.
Yeah.
So 73% of 11
They said
million.
we have 6 million TVs in India. We are going to, which was out of 2021 report. And out of, by now, we're going to have 11 million TVs in the universe. So 73% of that on their defaulting. And Samsung being a nice, like, OLED screens. And like, you don't have to talk about Samsung, the quality of it. Yeah. And with that kind of quality, with the kind of the biggest screen in the house, and ads on that scale on there, and brands utilizing that content to do well, I think it's exciting.
Also, one more thing. They mentioned that a common user takes at least 9 minutes to figure out which content they want to watch.
Oh, yeah, that is fascinating.
So you have 9 minutes to place your ads correctly, right? You can't bombard your users with ads. You have to be very premium about it. If you do it right, then you have 9 minutes of attention of your advertiser. You can promote your content. You can do master or whatever it is, but you have to be very smart about it. You have 9 minutes to take that user's attention.
No pressure.
It's also 9 minutes of a user trying to discover or going through the discovery journey, and you do not want to tick them off because it's not a laid back experience. And I know from personal experience that trying to discover what to watch can sometimes be frustrating. So you're in a very delicate.
But the vulnerability of where you are as well can make, if an ad is persuasive enough, can actually make an impact on you. In the same way, right? It can be either negative or fantastically positive. So that's something that's a good takeaway as well.
I actually have a very interesting thing on the 9 minutes, because if I had access to fast, I just sat down. For me, it is I put my food down and I need to watch something.
Correct.
And for me, if I had an option of fast, so I don't really want to search something. So if fast was there on my CTV, I'm probably just going to go access that, put some channel there and just watch. Yeah. So I was very skeptical on the 9 minutes thing. But yeah, I guess that's the average.
Yeah. So on the fast aspect of it, right, you have to actually actively go and put on a channel. So what I'm looking forward to is maybe a curated channel for myself, right, saying Kavita's channel, where I can actually, where it kind of puts up everything together, which has a combination of all my favorite types of shows.
Like a channel that exists solely for you.
Only for me. Back in the day, we used to make our own YouTube playlists. I'm sure you currently make your own Spotify lists and whatever else. So if this can be automatically done for me, and if I'm signing on to my Samsung TV as my profile, then what you're saying just gives me entertainment right then and there.
And I don't even think that's far-fetched.
That's not at all far-fetched.
So it's like I Google me.
Yeah. Oh my God. I've just gone back into the past with I Google. Yeah. But this actually puts Samsung in a very, very advantageous position, and they have to really springboard from here, because they can replace measurement as well. Because if you have 6 lakh televisions out there, 6 million televisions, and another 11 million coming up, you actually have ACR data. You actually know what your customers are watching. You know where they're watching it. You know where they bought it from. You have an entire trail. So the ability for you to make addressable household audiences available and then smoothen it across the census data makes your measurement company. So where is Nielsen, right? So there's a big race. Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy. And I got to give a shout out, Mr. Prabhvir. What a presenter! He had me
major
hooked.
fanboy.
Yeah, he had me hooked, and he started. It's AdTech. Everyone's the session starting and all, and the presentation starts with beat music. And everyone's like, whoa, okay, we're getting in the groove. It's that, and man, he held the stage, and I was I was actually fanboying.
Yeah,
that's great.
Excellent.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Shout out to Prabhvir there.
Of course. The second segment that you guys said you were excited about, Abash, was all about the open internet. What did you take away?
Yeah, so Mike Fein was the VP of strategy at TTD Trade Desk. I think he was the moderator of the entire panel, and you had the likes of Archana Aggarwal, who's the VP of brands from Airtel. You had Rahul Singh present there, who's from TTD, who's the director of business development. You have Mr. Atique Kazi, who's the GroupM president, who was also there. So you're looking at the panel and you're like, okay, this is
the who's who.
Yeah, this is a very interesting panel, and I'm sure it's going to be crazy. And so GroupM pointed out that in the entire, about 52% of the people spend time on the open internet. So, funnily enough, if you look at Indian trends, how it's going, it's everyone's trying to become a wall garden for some reason, right? Everyone's trying to become a wall garden, because if you look at these players from OTTs to the, you're looking at say a few news publications and everyone like Daily Hunt and who I want to talk about, but all of them are becoming wall gardens. But at the end of the day, something Archana mentioned was very interesting. And she said, we need to become an audience first and platform second. This is what advertisers are becoming, right? They don't care. Like I think they even stated that as well. We don't care. Advertisers are getting in a space where we don't care about the platform. I mean, of course, I do care in a certain way, but for me, it's audience first. And today, he was like, today marketers are the only, I'm going to quote her. She said, today marketers are the only looking at directing their communication to the consumer, right? All they care about is how can I get incredible reach? How can I get the unique audiences? Because if I'm doing branded also, I don't really care which platform they are, but if it's the right audience, I want them. And that's something only the open internet can enable at that scale. So, my personal opinion on that is that me working with customers on the likes of Hotstar, Woot, Z, Sony, all of them, I can see them in my interactions that they have realized this. They know the importance of the open internet, because at the end of the day, you have your direct sales. Yes, great, because you make good money there. But you know you have a lot more inventory because you're having a lot more content there. You have so many more people visiting your platform. You have first-party data of so many people, and like you're utilizing that. So it's a no-brainer. They've realized it's a no-brainer. And now they are on the verge of opening up, partnering with the likes of Magnite for CTV, the likes of Programmatic. And now they've understood that. And to see that, yes, they're opening it up to the open internet, that's a great sign. And that's a great win for advertisers. And I'm looking forward to that.
I think personalization at the scale is becoming a major factor. You need to personalize, you need to do contextual advertising. You need to pick up your right audience, you need to show them a right ad. The ad should be fun. It cannot be like bombarded saying that, hey, like if you go to Times of India website and see so many ads, not relevant. It's not useful, right? It's waste of money for both advertiser as well as publishers not earning because you're not clicking, there's no CTRs, nothing. Nobody is gaining from it. It has to be at scale, personalization has to be at scale. And with cookies going down, Apple's as policy. So I think first party data is going to be very important. And how do you collate those? How do you put it up out in the open internet is going to play a major role.
Yeah, and Mr. Kazi also ended the panelist with his opinion that eventually there has to be right programmatic strategies driving more. Which means that there has to be, because right now when you look at the open internet and people are trying to advertise, he's not like feeling that I got personally was that he needs, he's going in a direction where everyone needs to become a lot more strategic when you're running programmatic ads. And that's a trend that being there and going over these 59 booths, and I was like, this is it, this is happening. This is in, you could see that programmatic is going to be a huge play here for us. And I could see it there while I was there. I got first-hand experience of it, and I think I'm very excited to see how.
I think one last point that you mentioned was that experimenting or building new tech is okay, but it has to fulfill your business objectives, or else it's
seems to be the common theme.
Yes, yeah. It's it has to fulfill your business objectives. So I think there was one question from the audience. I think that will you adopt your new technology? And he mentioned that hey, if it fulfills my business need, I'm okay. I'm okay to do that. It has to fulfill my business. So whatever new technology comes up, it's not fulfilling your end business need, like what your audience requires. It's useless. So
it has always seemed counterintuitive to me that a country like India, where we're supposed to be the low yield, the high supply market, we're supposed to be the low GDP per capita. I don't want to use the word third world country, but it's always been something that's sort of it. It sounds counterintuitive to me that this is a country that's moving closer in the direction of walled gardens, which it has, right? What I'm looking forward to is the upcoming IPL. Jio Cinema has, I think, shocked everyone by saying it's going to be free, it's going to be open, it's not behind a walled garden. Everybody's afraid because when you do that, your traffic's going to be 60-70% higher than what it would have otherwise been. Can you handle that kind of concurrency? I'm sure that there are records that are going to tumble. But I think the fear, and I'm very, very certain Jio will execute this well, is can you take all of that, execute it from a technical standpoint? Can you give advertisers the ability to find a needle in a haystack? Because the minute your audience base is so much larger, you have to execute without technical glitches. You have to be willing to leverage your first-party data and help advertisers find the cohorts that they want. I think there's a lot of literature, given that we are how many days away from IPL now?
10 days. 31st.
10-15 days away from IPL. I know there's some matches that begin later this week as well. But I think that's what I'm most excited about, is to watch them, and they can do this at scale.
They can.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One of the things about the open internet that I'm very curious about, and I think there's a lot of opportunity for people to solve, is, and what's going to crop up because of it, is ad fraud and brand safety, right? Because the minute you start opening that fire hose, you're going to have to sift through a lot of those weeds, and out comes at the
Kavita,
sake.
I think this is the topic that's
Yeah?
coming up. It's done by Mr. Dheeraj
Dheeraj
Gupta.
Gupta.
Deven's going to talk about
Go
it.
for it.
Yeah, this is a great
Great segue into it, yeah.
Great segue on
Great
that.
segue. By the way, I was playing Scrabble at home through the whole paternity every in Scrabble. And I made the word segue the other day, and everyone said that's not how you spell it. You're making up a word.
Segu.
Segu. What is segu? It's a segu. Anyway, so please segu into your next section, which is ad fraud. I think Kavita has hit the nail on the head.
Dheeraj Gupta from mFilter, he put down a lot of stats there, say that, hey, you know what? The digital ad spends globally is $602 billion. Out of that, 20% is a fraud, ad fraud. So imagine that.
Cover your ears, everyone.
Like $100 billion of your money is just ad frauds. And 27% of your leads that you'll get generated from your lead gen campaigns are false, are fraud. And he also mentioned that, hey, you said, oh, my leads are OTP verified. There are sites on internet where you can get OTP, get a lead generated, that's it. So imagine that scale of you're spending so much of your money but it's getting wasted because of ad fraud. He also mentioned one interesting point. See, if AI can be used for good things like your like ChatGPT and all, it can also be used to generate bots, right? People are doing that, and you need technology to safeguard that. It cannot be like this. $100 billion of money just getting wasted because of ad fraud. Advertisers not getting anything there. Leads are useless. 27% of leads are fake. So I think that's going to play a very, very, very important role.
And man, he owned the stage. And I think he sold.
Yeah, he sold.
This
He
sold
sold. He sold his stats, his data. He was like, don't waste your money. He looked at advertisers right in the eye and he said, you're wasting your money. You need to come talk to me.
Yeah.
I was like, what a sales guy. He's done.
So Prabhvir and this M-filter
Yeah,
guy.
I was like fanboying.
Yeah, the guys, both Prabhvir and what's your M-filter guy's name?
Mr.
Gupta.
Dheeraj Gupta.
Dheeraj Gupta. If you saw somebody standing up and giving an ovation and clapping really hard, that was Abash.
Correct.
Okay, moving on. Deven, you said that you enjoyed the session on voice commerce. Let's talk about voice commerce.
So I'll tell you, I was very fascinated with this concept of voice commerce. Okay, it's just like you can command something, a voice command, and your Alexa or maybe whatever your device is, they'll record it, they'll shop for you. So let's say, let's just go back in time. Okay, let's just go back in time. Before telephones were invented, people used to go physically to the local kirana shop and buy it. Telephones were invented, and people that used to call up the local kirana, get it on them. Right? After that, internet revolution came in. Where you have apps where you can order, you go to that app, you have to order, select, put your delivery address and all, you can order it. Then came the WhatsApp revolution. Like brands started moving to WhatsApp. What you can do right now is you can order from WhatsApp, like your GeoMart integration that we saw, right, with WhatsApp. You can
Chat
order.
and all.
Yeah, you can chat, you can order it. You don't have to go to physically to an app to order and all those things, right? Now the world is moving towards voice command. Wherein what you do is you just say that, hey, I need 2 apples from this shop. You just say it and done.
Add it to my
Cart
cart.
and it will get delivered to your house. Now they're making it in such a way that your payments, your address and everything, they'll recognize you by your voice. Your payments will be taken care of. It will get delivered to you. So it saves you all the physical effort to go select that do that physical energy. Secondly, what they're trying to do is they're understanding your behaviors. At what time of day they should prompt this. At what time of day you're in a good mood, you're just sitting there relaxing. They'll not disturb you when you're watching your favorite cricket show or maybe any of your TV shows and all.
Very creepy, Deven.
Hey, that's what internet is moving to us. Imagine you're just coming home tired from your office and you're just saying, hey, get me 2 apples. Yeah, done. And getting it done. You don't have to physically go there, open app. I know it sounds like it's just a 2-second thing, but I also get very lazy to open the app and just order and all. I'm like, hey, if someone can just give
You
me
can
someone
just shout
remind
it out
you.
into the air
Yeah.
and it just happens.
They can also remind you, saying that, hey, you need to refill your shampoos. That's
Oh
all.
man.
That's
This is
all.
sounding like Jetsons.
Yeah.
So finally we're
Yeah,
getting there.
finally.
Finally we're getting there. I'm quite excited about this.
Yeah, and they've done this experiment and they saw some 22% increase in their add to cart things. Because of this, they've started doing this experiment in developed countries, they said. But it's still new to India, but I am very fascinated about it. That's which can move towards it. You never thought brands will move towards WhatsApp. It was more of a personal thing, right? Personal communication. Now all the brands are on WhatsApp. So I think this can happen.
Also, I had this peeve about literacy rates, right? And a lot of things on the internet today need you to be able to read and write and communicate with text, and also disability, the ability to use a phone, because I mean, what if you're disabled in any way? These whole voice commands and voice commerce aspect of it can be used for a lot of good, right? And like right from medicine to trying to get emergency help. Of course, your own groceries, remind me to call my mother, all of that, right? Everything you can actually just program it to give you the right time of day. And I'm pretty sure our homes at some point in time will have sensors. So think about, and we are living so much longer as the human race. So you want to be able to sort of have any kind of alerts that go out, or I get an alert, say if you have a sick child or you have an old parent at home who needs help. There's so many things, and nowadays you're reading about how the Apple Watch is like predicting that you're going to get a heart attack, or you have something wrong with your body, etc., which is on you. So voice in general is fascinating because you see ads. I recently saw an ad with who's Ryan Reynolds' wife? Blake Lively.
Blake Lively.
And she's talking about her Betty Boop, Betty something. That she has a soda. And she says, add it to my cart in Walmart, Alexa. And then Alexa says, sure. And then Alexa goes on to tell her how they can both take over the world. But the point is that people are already doing it. And I think that is a great, and the only thing is what you spoke about, this whole 9 minutes and understanding human vulnerability and it being a high or a low, much like our lives, Anand. But the point is that, trying to get into that door and making an impression that is positive to your brand, and for brands as well as this whoever's providing this voice environment to keep out fraud, right, and phishing. It's going to be these are going to be like the big focuses over the next 3 to 10 years.
I like it. I think the last section that we're ending on, and I know you also wanted to touch upon ChatGPT.
Yeah, I think that was a talking point about on this AdTech. Everyone was like very excited. What is ChatGPT? How will this impact?
You could notice everybody just flocking. Everyone's just flocking in because they want to hear. And I think it was
so. Who was the panel? The ChatGPT panel.
It's also the week they launched GPT-4.
4, yeah, and they've also launched ChatGPT-4, by the way.
Yeah,
very good.
Yeah.
I think everyone was very excited about this whole ChatGPT. How will it impact their jobs and everything? And I think, what is it?
On the MarTech side, like a lot of CMOs were there and they were like, how do we embrace ChatGPT and how do we go? And people are just, you gotta, like, it's there to help you. It's there to be an accessory in the site. And you gotta be like utilizing it to do better. So stop looking at it. First of all, just stop looking at it as a competition or as it's something that's going to take away your job. No, it's just going to enable you to do much more better. And that, I think, was very fascinating because this is something that's very real, right? Like people like us, like, hey, I've been using ChatGPT to help me with some of my work. Famously with my recording meetings.
Yeah. Excellent. He must have been a great presenter as well.
Great. Everyone was hooked up to that session. Like everyone was there.
Excellent.
Yeah. And for some reason, he didn't take questions.
Yeah.
I was
because it can go into a random soothsayer kind of thing. Like, what do you think ChatGPT will do for us in the future?
I kind of wanted at least two, like,
I think he's somewhere in Bangalore. You can totally. What are you going to ask him? Maybe he's listening to us.
Yeah. No, I feel like on the spot. No, I'm not able to think of something now.
Is it the future?
Is it the future? Yes.
I think
Abash, it is.
One interesting point he mentioned is like we should start experimenting. It's like a Google search. It was like a search when it came back, right? Everyone was trying to figure out how to search on Google. Now it's ChatGPT. It's just a generative text, right? You still have to use your own creativity to do it, right? So it's there.
Creativity or your deviousness.
You have to live with it. It's just that. You should start experimenting. I use ChatGPT. I use Excellent. I write my product stories. I tell him to rephrase this. I tell him to rephrase this. Like, hey,
I agree.
rephrase this. Yeah. All our release notes and all, I ask them to rephrase it to it.
Yeah. Why not?
Why not use this technology? So I think it's great. It's going to stay.
I think what you said a minute ago, Abash, makes a lot of sense to me. That marketers have to find a way to realize that forget competition. the enhancements that we're seeing right now, generative AI, large language models, stable diffusion, these are all going to enhance the consumer experience. And the greatest marketers in the world have actually just kept an eye on where the consumer experience is going and then found their way to that spot. There's a lot of interesting questions that get asked. What do you think is the first sector that's going to get disrupted by all of this? Do you care? Do you think there is this old thing called the Luddite fallacy, where they're saying you're going to lose jobs? There's a lot, but if you combine this with voice commerce, for example, let me give you an example that's in my head. Every time I have to cancel a flight, I am scared to deal with customer support on the other side. And there are questions that I must answer that are inane. What is your PNR number? What sector? What date? You can eliminate all of this. Have a bot who knows your details, your flight details, talk to an AI entity on the other side, and you figure it out. I don't need to spend 1.5 hours on the phone to realize that I'm going to get back 5% of my ticket fee. Two technologies can talk to each other and figure that out. And I can literally enable all of this with my voice. And I think that is where the consumer experience is going.
I think we should work with it, not against it. I think even if whichever jobs, it's not going to impact your job. I think you have to work, you have to start living with it. You have to start experimenting.
Kavita and I attended the Metaverse panel last year at
Sandeep Bhushan.
Sandeep Bhushan. And that's one of the things he said. He said, you can have any opinion you want, it doesn't matter. Consumers will go to the most convenient direction. They will go in the direction of experiences that enrich their lives. And as marketers, it is your only job to follow them. That's it.
I just hear Morgan Freeman's voice in my head about free will.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Uh-huh.
It's just about the consumers, whatever you do, at the end of the day, consumers will go where you're giving them this rich experience.
That's
and I was reading this tweet about using AI and ChatGPT at work, and there are people who are cautioning, saying that, you're going to jump up and want to include it into your day-to-day or into your product, or let your consumers play with it. Like, for example, we can try and have ChatGPT, for example, at Voiro and say, create a line item for me, or push this campaign to 3 different ad servers and whatnot. But he cautions on, are you over-engineering something that need not be engineered? It is also very expensive.
Yeah.
So Microsoft is collecting their toll on it, right? They're saying, got to pay up now. This is all fun and games, but let me see your money. So I think there is something that we all take away, that this is great. This is still a very expensive piece of technology, but like you're saying, got to play with it.
I think Deven here has an opinion on that. Yesterday on the flight, he was like, bro, if they're going to ask me money, take it.
I'll
Just take it. Yeah.
I'll pay
Deven
for
is like,
ChatGPT.
No, as personally, like
Personally, I'll pay.
saying that you be my secretary.
Not secretary. Yeah, basically, I can use it for my
Co-pilot.
work and all. Yeah, I'll buy it.
David Sachs on the All In podcast was talking about the fact that it was Sri Krishnan on the Good Time show was talking about the fact that we're all talking about this and how is it going to impact consumer experience today, tomorrow. He said, walk this out 20 years. Every child is going to have a friend, an AI friend, that knows 20 years of their life history. What is the biggest benefit we have all seen in our limited interaction so far with ChatGPT? It is that instead of searching for information, we can ask for answers. Try asking for answers with a bot that's a friend that knows you for 20 years. It knows everything about every twist and turn, everything good about you. It can predict, can guide you, it can advise you. Sriram was saying, if you're a real techno-optimist, think 20 years out and think about the fact that in this limited period of time we've come so far. 20 years out, it can solve loneliness, for example. There's so much that it can do.
he just reminded me of this movie. Have you seen Her?
Yes.
Jacqueline.
Yes, of course.
It's like...
Giving you chills?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen Megan?
Oh no, I haven't
I don't
done
wanna
that,
see
but
it.
I want to watch
No?
it.
I don't wanna see that.
What is
Yeah.
Megan?
It's this AI
What an
child
AI
taker.
doll.
Oh.
Buy a doll for the
If
doll.
you have a doll and it's spooky, that's it.
Yeah, that's scary, bro.
And the doll goes to any length to protect the child.
Maybe I'm not a tech optimist. Maybe I'm a little bit of a realist. man, this 20-year-old friend is never going to forget the shit that you did. Right? You're never going to be able to reinvent yourself for this AI friend.
They might have ability to delete that part of
Yeah,
that.
it's like,
Yeah,
delete
man,
forever,
it's very
trash.
Yeah, but it's at the end it's tech. Someone will hack someone. Everyone will
Because
know.
I'm so glad I grew up in an era where there are no photos of all the crap that I did. And it's so amazing. And everybody else is like, oh my God, I got to clear up my internet history and whatever else. And I'm like, man, I mean, the need to forget and the
No,
ability
but
to
there's
forget.
it's true. What you're saying is true.
Yeah.
But on the optimist side, think of kids who are on the autism spectrum.
Yes.
You're saying you have a friend who has infinite patience, who will answer the same question again and again and again, and that is what you eventually will
Yeah,
need.
yeah.
And a friend that knows all of human knowledge. All of it. So they say GPT-4, for example, there are already interesting enhancements. Apparently, it is, I think, 88% more likely to not get pulled into an unsafe conversation. So everyone tried to hack GPT-3, right? And not hack in the traditional hack sense, but take it to a place where it says like a bigoted thing and then find biases in the underlying data set or the model. GPT-4 apparently has gotten better at that. But as we say with every one of our podcast episodes, we live in exciting times.
We do live in exciting times.
Correct. And I think ChatGPT Plus is just 20 USD. I can use it for my work. 20 USD.
Man, ChatGPT, I'm
I
telling you,
would-
there is
I'll
definitely
pay.
a B2C
I
option.
already pay an embarrassing amount for all my subscriptions and
Yeah.
my this and that. Things I don't even read sometimes. I'd pay.
If it helps with my work, I'll pay.
Will you pay for Twitter Blue?
Twitter Blue not.
900 rupees a month.
No.
But he has ChatGPT now. What's the need for Twitter Blue? He can just tell me the
I'm
news.
just trying to see where.
Dude, you know what? I would pay for like if I get up in the morning, I want the AI to give me news, just like.
You wanted to talk about it, or you wanted to like drill it into your brain?
Brain.
Like,
You
should
wanted to
wake up
code it
and-
into your
and
brain,
know the
like-
news.
yeah.
You should just know it.
Just know it.
Oh man, we're getting into some
Yeah.
crazy.
Abash is
Like
very poor
the,
in
the
news.
5 minutes, the 5 minutes
Yeah,
before
is that
you're
what it is?
the 5 minutes before you're actually awake, the news should already be drilled into your head with an ad, so you wake up thinking, man, I like Nescafe. Why do I suddenly like it?
Great.
Oh, the subtle.
This is all rolling to a seriously dystopian future. Right. All right, thank you guys.
This has been really great.
Yeah, it's lovely to see your nice smiling faces full of energy and love for the industry back from AdTech, and we're going to attend a lot more events this year. Thank you, Anand, and congratulations again, and welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I loved today's episode. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.